Hello, NBC, and welcome to Chapter 10, Modifiers. So I enjoy modifiers. I want you guys to be patient. You're going to be able to, you're learning about modifiers, and you're only going to be able to apply them here and there right now. But as you start coding in your CPT, you're going to see where these modifiers are going to come into play. I want to point out that this is the front of your CPT manual, and then modifiers are here. Now, I'm only going to teach on a few modifiers because you guys get to be the teacher on some modifiers. We're going to do a project, and I'm going to do my slides to tell you about a little bit about modifiers first, and then afterwards, I'm going to tell you what you're going to be doing to teach modifiers, okay? So here we go. Let's share our screen. Chapter 10, Modifiers. CPT modifiers are used to describe alterations to the CPT code. You have a full list on the front cover of your CPT, or the back of your front cover, and then also in Appendix A, you can find more detailed descriptions of these modifiers. These codes tell the third-party payer that circumstances exist that should alter the way in which the payment is made. Okay, so let's ask this question. What will happen if a service is coded without the use of an appropriate modifier? What's going to affect our reimbursement, right? Reimbursement will be based on the standard service deliverable, which may result in overpayment or underpayment. So what are the functions of a modifier? Well, it alters more or less the CPT code. It can tell the third-party payer bilateral, multiple, only portions of the service were used. For example, professional service only, more than one surgeon, and unusual services. What would happen if a modifier code was not used when a patient received a service that was performed bilaterally on the same day? So let's talk about unilaterally. Unilaterally means one side. Bilaterally means both, right? The third-party payer would assume that the billing for the second service was a duplicate of the billing for the first services and would not pay, which means they're only going to pay unilaterally, which is just one side of the body, which is going to affect the amount of your reimbursement. So let's go ahead and talk about Modifier 22, increased procedural service. This indicates services significantly greater than usual. It's always going to be accompanied by a written report with supportive documentation that's going to describe the increased physician work. So what type of documentation would support the use of the Modifier 22? Well, increased risk to the patient caused by complications, difficulty of the procedure, excessive blood loss, or other circumstances that significantly altered the delivery of the service. When the Modifier 22 is used, a report must be sent to document why this is an unusual practice. Because this modifier is overused and because it increases payment by as much as 20 to 30%, it is subject to special scrutiny by third-party payers. Let's talk about 23, unusual anesthesia. Well, one of the major things that I want to point out with this modifier is it says anesthesia. This is only an anesthesia modifier. This modifier is only going to be used in the use of anesthesia where no anesthesia or local would be the norm. For example, a highly agitated senile patient. It's only used with anesthesia codes, and a written report with submission of a modifier this modifier may be required. Why is a written report required when this modifier is used? It explains the unusual circumstances of why general anesthesia was needed and used. Let's read our red note here. Note that this modifier applies only to the delivery of anesthesia services by the anesthesiologist and only when codes from the anesthesia section of the CPT are used. We can only use this in our anesthesia section. So let's talk about 24, unrelated E&M services by the same physician or other qualified healthcare professional during a postoperative global period. So for those of you who don't know what a postoperative global period is, I'm going to do a little explaining. I'm going to use cardiology because it's what I am most comfortable with. Say that Mr. Jones has a pacemaker put in, goes home. He has 90 days to see the physician. Anything related to that pacemaker or problem with that pacemaker or unusual circumstance or side effects of that pacemaker is going to be paid when he paid for his surgery. So that's the global period. Now say that Mr. Jones had the pacemaker, but he fell and broke his foot. And so he has to see a doctor about his broken foot. Of course, that pacemaker global is not going to pay for that foot issue. So it's two totally different services. So if the E&M service is not related to the surgery, it is billable separately. You're going to use the 24 on the E&M code only. If E&M provided during the postoperative global period, no separate payment for E&M related to surgical procedure. For example, patient is in global period for hip surgery and is now seen for a fracture. Okay, now this is going to give you a little bit more of a light bulb moment. So why do we use a 24 if she's going to see her orthopedist for a fractured collarbone? Well, because she just had hip replacement surgery or a hip surgery. The third-party payer already knows that they've gone to see Dr. Orthopedic. Well, she's got to go back again for a fractured collarbone. So when she goes back in for that fractured collarbone, you're going to use the modifier 24 to let the third-party payer know, hey, this is a completely different issue and she's being seen by the same physician. I hope that makes sense. Although most often used for surgical services, the modifier 24 may also be used with general ophthalmological service codes 92002 through 92014, which are used to code medical examinations for new and established patients. Suppose a patient is treated for bronchitis during a global postoperative period for an arthroscopic surgery to repair a torn meniscus. Is it appropriate to use the modifier 24? Why or why not? Yes, because the diagnosis is not related to the surgery. But the one thing that they didn't say in that scenario, she's seeing the same physician. How might complications be coded? With a postoperative no charge code. So if there's complications involved in the procedure, those complications should be absorbed through that through the no charge code. So the last E&M code that we're going to talk about today is the modifier 25. This is a significant, separately identifiable E&M service by the same physician or other qualified healthcare professionals and on the same day of procedure or other service. Documentation must support this service. Okay, there's an example here and you can read that, but I'm going to use an example that I'm very comfortable with. Okay, Mrs. Jackson is going to go see Dr. Cardiology. Imagine that. I'm using a cardiology example. Okay, she's going to go in for a regular visit. So we're going to use a 99212. as our E&M code, but she also is having an EKG, a 93010, when she's in the office. She's having two things. So if we turn in those two CPT codes, if we submit those for reimbursement, they're going to bundle those together and only pay for one. But if I use my 99212 with my 25 modifier, and then I put my 93010, that tells the third-party payer we did two separately identifiable services in the office. Another example, a patient is seen on a consultation by pain management and subsequent to rendering an opinion was given a nerve injection. Would modifier 25 is placed on the E&M code, I'm sorry. So you need your consultation E&M code with the 25 and then the nerve injection so that your third-party payer will pay for both. Okay, so I'm stopping there. So what is your project about? Well, you guys are going to love me because I think this is a perfect time to do teach the teacher or teach your classmates. You're going to be teaching all of us. So you're going to do, much like I just did, put together a small slideshow to teach about the modifiers. You're not going to be teaching all of them. I'm going to give you assigned modifiers. Akaya, you have modifier 22 through modifier 50. Rachel, you have modifier 51 through 59. Angela, you have modifier 60 to 81. And Katrina, you have modifier 82 to 99. So what you're going to be doing is a lecture video, and we're actually going to post your lecture videos on Edmodo to teach your classmates. So this is due Monday the 25th. I need them to be able to post them that day. So please make sure that you have them in to me Monday morning, which gives you Sunday. You can go ahead and upload them Monday morning to me. So when you upload them, I will watch them, grade them, and then we will upload it to the class to watch. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you guys have a wonderful day. And if you need anything, I'm here. Bye, guys.